It's never been easier to be a homeless person in Democrat-run cities. Why bother getting a job and cleaning yourself up when you can enjoy free meals and get high all day? Thanks to liberal policies. Portland alone has over 700 encampments. And one woman there is actually bragging about the perks of living on the streets.
How is it like being homeless in Portland?
It's a piece of cake, really. I mean, that's why you probably got so many out here, because they feed you 3 meals a day. You don't have to do but stay in your tent or party, or if you smoke a lot of dope, you can do that. It's like you wake up, you go eat at Blanche, get high. Go eat at Blanche for lunch, get high. Go eat dinner, get high. And that's all you do all day long, every day.
Doesn't feel like that's really helping anybody.
It's not. That's why you see all the tents.
I spoke with the homelessness outreach volunteer who shot that video, and he says it's time for some tough love.
Sure, someone who's in the middle of their addiction is going to continue to say yes to you if you just keep handing them stuff, right? But what if you stop handing them stuff and says, look, I expect you to meet me halfway now. You know, change is difficult. But what I found is by giving a homeless person responsibility, they take that responsibility.
So you're saying
beautiful.
You usually don't hear that, Greg, from liberal politicians.
Well, first, I want to start with the preface that we all have to do, which is we're not talking about people on the street who are there not by choice, right? But however, we are starting to see that is not even close to the majority of homeless right now. It is the transient lifestyle has now become glamping. Yep. It's like you can go, you can get a tent, you can live there, and this is what happens. And I think what's happening is even the outreach, the volunteers, the people that work with the homeless are saying, man, this is just a scheme. This is now, people are just doing it because they can live above and beyond civil society, which I get. You know, I understand what she's talking about. No boss, no bills, no mortgages, free meds, free meals. But there's got to be some reciprocity to society. Don't make our lives hell. You can have your commune in the desert. Hell, I'll help pay for that. But you can't be on the street defecating. You can't, scare the crap out of our kids, right? You can't make our lives a living hell. We get it. We understand that that you don't want to live by our rules, but then you don't get to live with us, right? It's like the parents cutting off the drug addict and kicking them out of the house, no matter how much they love them. Cities have to do this. They're homeless by choice. They are not your children. They are not your responsibility. We are paying for that responsibility, and it's their lifestyle. We are supporting a lifestyle. It's time to stop. I will pay to create that lifestyle as an experiment somewhere in the desert. Tents galore, drugs galore. Hell, I'll visit. I'll be the mayor.
What do they call that big party in the desert where everybody...
Burning Man.
Burning Man.
Yeah, this will be right. Smelly Man.
Yeah. So Greg says, we're all paying for this. The taxpayers in Portland are paying for free tents. They're paying for free needles. They're paying for free food. Why stop? Why get off the streets?
Well, and also there was just an election, and the voters there decided to continue with the leadership that they had. So part of it for me is like, well, okay, then this is what you have decided to do, local decision making. And you get to decide, and that's the case. Now, I do not think it's compassionate to allow people to live like that. And I think that the guest you had is right, that tough love is compassionate. That's what you know for everybody. And these drugs, some of them, they make you not care about your personal condition. So you're happy to be in a tent. And you could be in a city like Denver, where they don't enforce the no tent policy, and now you've got tents everywhere. Or look at Washington, D.C. You leave Union Station, and there's tents everywhere. That should be unacceptable. And our police officers, one, they should not be social workers. They shouldn't have to be. But they also should be given the power that they need to move these people on into care if they need it. And the last thing I would say is it's also not compassionate to the families who are worried about their loved ones who are out there living on the street and are able to do so without having to come home.
Judge.
I have to tell you, I have been very critical of Mayor Eric Adams, but he did one good thing, and I want to give him credit for it. Eric Adams he's trying to get the homeless into hospitals, mental health facilities. And there's a lot of pushback from, from the left, from people who say, oh, it's not fair. They say specifically that it is inhumane to force them to go into a mental hospital. But he's got it under the umbrella of, if they can't take care of themselves, it might be a danger to themselves or others, then the police have the right to take them into a mental health facility where immediately they get a psychiatric evaluation and they could stay there, not unlike what I did as a judge. Now, one of the other things that, and this is our fault, it is our fault. In Missouri, it is against the law to sleep on the street. In New York now, Eric Adams is saying, if you appear to have a mental illness, we're going to pull you off the street involuntarily and put you in a mental health facility. And the problem is people in Oregon, they get free food, they get a lax drug policy where they allow them to have LSD, meth, heroin, and everything else, and cocaine, and they take it as a violation, like getting a traffic ticket. And they suffered more fatalities in terms of overdoses than they had ever. So the bottom line is this: as a society, we have to make a decision. Are we going to tolerate it or not?
Are we going to tolerate it or not?
Somewhere in the middle, the 50% that your guest said, I think makes sense, saying you've got to give us some, and we're going to continue to give you some. And it's not saying tomorrow you can't come back here, right? But there have to be, standards. There have to be goals that you meet in order to keep getting benefits. That's how it works in the welfare system. And I think on the Eric Adams front, that policy, when I first saw it, I thought, oh, this is a good thing because it feels dangerous there, especially in the subways and things like that. And I think if you marry up using police officers with social workers to have those conversations with people who are mentally ill, because that's really the problem, that we have mentally ill people on the street, then I think that we could probably do a lot of good with that and people could get the care that they need. But one of the main problems is we don't have enough shelter beds for people anymore. So when Bloomberg was mayor of New York, we had a bed for every single homeless person in the city if they wanted it. And there were tons of vans that would drive around. You've probably seen them, picking people up if they wanted a ride, especially on cold nights, but just in general. And we don't have that anymore. Under de Blasio, it surpassed the number of beds that we have. And now it's astronomical, especially considering what's going on with migration, mental illness.
We're not going to build enough beds to get ourselves out of this problem.
No, but you have to have somewhere that people can go that's safe.
Oh, it's not a tent.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.